Hello everyone, and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage, the show where Whitney and I take a look at every single theatrically released animated film in chronological order. I'm Tennille.
I'm Whitney, and today we are here in Japan, and we are watching The Enchanted Journey.
What exactly about this was Enchanted?
It was a journey in real world with realistic animals and, well, relatively realistic animals and
yeah, you know,
realistic rules of the universe. Nothing about this.
It's no, like Watership Down or Plague Dogs, but yeah, it's aiming for a little bit more animal realism.
Nothing about this tells me why it should be called Enchanted Journey, other than they really wanted people to pick this movie up, and they had to come up with something better than Chipmunk Go North.
Whimsy and magic. You know, there's neither of that. I mean, I guess there's whimsy. There's plenty of whimsy. But the actual title for this film in Japanese is Glico no Boken, which is just like the adventures of Glico.
Yeah, Glico, the main character of the movie. Wow.
Another inspired title.
I can't even tell if Enchanted Journey's better or worse than that.
I mean, at least Adventures of Glico describes what it is. It's like, it's Glico and his adventures. I'd take that over Enchanted Journey, where the only thing that is accurate about that is that, yes,
it's a journey.
It is a journey. Of what? I don't know. Enchantment, I guess.
There's no magic.
No.
Alright. Glico is a pet chipmunk.
Okay, I already have to stop there. What? Is that a thing? Was that ever a thing? Like, I know this is, 40 years ago, or 50 years ago if you're talking about the book that this is based on, which was written in 1970. But did people have chipmunks as pets at some point?
I don't think so in America. Maybe in Japan, but even still, this is the first time I've ever heard of it.
I mean, that sounds like a bad idea.
A chipmunk? Yeah, it's... Yeah, that just sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, it is a bad idea.
They're not domesticated. Anyway.
It is a bad idea because Glico wants to be free. And he talks to a pigeon named Peepo, who tells him of a forest full of chipmunks way up to the north, past the sea and over a big-ass mountain. And so Glico's like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'll go there. You wanna come with me, sister? And sister says, no. No, I don't want to do that. I'm perfectly safe here. I get food. I don't have to worry about anything. Wandering across all of Japan, and then the ocean, and then a giant-ass mountain? No!
That sounds pretty awful.
It sounds pretty terrible. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So Glico's like, alright, bye! It jumps out the window on a hat.
Okay, but we also have to stop here and address how, and y'all will notice this as we continue our summary, every single female character in this movie has chronic, no, you must leave me here to die syndrome. Because the sister has a moment where she's like, oh no, Glico, I will go with you, but you have to go now, like, because I guess it's going to be easier for me to try and do this later and not for us to go together. She's like, no, you have to leave me behind. I would only, like, slow you down. But I'll make the journey myself at some point. So, like, this is the first instance of this happening.
Yeah. Anyways, Glico saves a rat from getting run over by a car. And then the rat's like, thanks. Help me fight these evil rats.
The house rats.
The evil house rats. Because we're sewer rats. And they give us a bad name or something. So they fight other rats. And then he's like, cool, I'll take you out of the city. Which means into the zoo.
There's also a very important setup here for Glico missing a jump. It's going to come back a couple of times throughout the film. It's like one of the few things the film really like has a follow through And like Glico's character arc is that he can't jump like a real chipmunk or something like that. So there's some setup here that he like can't make this jump.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now he's in a zoo enclosure for chipmunks. Again, why are chipmunks being kept in a zoo enclosure? That just seems... What? It's a chipmunk. They're everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe this is some Japan thing. Like, maybe in the city it would make sense to have a chipmunk enclosure in a zoo, but like that seems really odd to me.
It just seems very weird. Because we grew up in an area where there's just chipmunks literally everywhere.
Right. It's like, you know...
You go outside and you'll find a chipmunk if you, like, look for, like, 30 minutes at most.
It's like a zoo having, like, a goose enclosure. Why would you have a goose enclosure? There's
or a
geese
pigeon
just
enclosure.
walking around. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think a pigeon enclosure is a better example because there are pigeons everywhere.
Right.
Geese aren't quite everywhere.
Where we lived growing up, that wouldn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or a horse. Just a horse.
I mean, maybe they'd be in
not in a petting zoo part.
An enclosure.
Just like an enclosure for a horse.
It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's so weird that they have an enclosure for like 20 plus chipmunks here.
Yeah.
And here he perfects his jump.
Well, he practices it.
He does the jump. He also meets a different girl squirrel, chipmunk, whatever. She looks like a squirrel, okay? All the girls look like squirrels in this because they got bigger, bushier tails.
She looks like something, all right. I
don't like her nose.
Her non-existent nose? Why?
No. Your nose is a no-no.
Yeah,
because
why do you have no nose? No-no?
This character's name is No-No.
Uh-huh.
No nose.
No nose. Oh no nose. Oh news.
So No-No apparently came from this big-ass forest up in the north, and she was captured by a human and taken here by her mother, and her mom said, I'm going to free myself from here by dying, which is horrible.
Uh-huh. Even the female characters to the other female characters are like,
leave me to die.
No, leave me here to die. This is the only way. You must continue forward.
So
I hate it.
Glico and No-No escape kind of together. She's like very tsundere and like, I'm going there and not following you, even though she's following him. And he's like, you go back. And she's like, no. And it's really dumb. Their relationship is dumb and boring, and who cares?
Well, there's a whole bunch of like hypocritical stuff going on too, where Glico's like, you'd only slow me down, you stupid girl. But like at the same time, he was begging his sister to come along with him. Mm-hmm. Like, come on, dude, really?
And he's also parroting all of the dangers that was told to him to her.
Yeah.
As though, like, again, sexism. Wow, I love it.
Uh-huh.
I really don't.
I kind of hate it. It makes this really frustrating. It takes an okay movie and makes it just ugh.
Mm-hmm. So they continue going forward. They get out of the city. They go through some farmland. They climb a persimmon tree. A cat attacks them. No-No falls out of the tree and like breaks her leg.
She sprains her leg.
It's pretty fucked up because she's, for the rest of the movie, can't really walk on this leg, which
slows them down
quite a bit, which becomes a problem when they're attacked by a hawk. And then at one point they, during a rainstorm, crawl into a boat, and then the boat just kind of floats up a river and then across the ocean. And I guess, and that's done. They've crossed the ocean. Good for them.
That's how they get to Hokkaido.
Yeah, because this takes place in Japan, and they're somewhere on mainland Japan, and then they're absolutely going to Hokkaido, which is essentially Alaska for Japan.
Yeah.
It's half the size of the rest of the country, and it is separated from it. Mm-hmm. And it's also cold.
And there's very basic principles, yes. Mm-hmm. You're correct.
Yeah, like it's a pretty easy way to like think about Hokkaido. It's just like, it's the big island on the northern end. It's really cold. the whole center of it is a giant mountain, which in forest, and now they have to cover it.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. They climb the mountain as winter is coming, and then they're traveling over the mountains of Hokkaido in the middle of winter.
And there's a fox.
There's an ugly-ass fox chasing them, and then they get
all these predators are so ugly.
We'll talk about it.
They're so ugly.
So they get to...
They also roar like dinosaurs.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They get to the forest with all the other chipmunks, and then the fox attacks. And Glico is able to get away from the fox by doing a jump.
Yep.
And the fox breaks the tree and falls and dies.
He also symbolically frees Glico by cutting off his pet bandana.
Yeah.
Which, I will say, when he set off for his journey, I'm like, I wonder when he's gonna get rid of the bandana. Because, like, that seems pretty obvious, like, I'm a pet thing. And I'm like, well, it's obviously here for the character design, so that you know who he is. So maybe they'll keep it. It's just here to make him cute. But no, they did absolutely pull a, like, you're free now. You're really free now thing with the bandana. So I guess it paid off, like, right at the end.
And then they made it, and it's all good, and the pigeon is there, and Glico says, hey, go tell my sister to come make this extremely dangerous journey all by herself.
Uh-huh.
Thanks. The end.
And the pigeon's like, I'll totally watch over her. Even though, like, the pigeon barely helped at all for Glico's journey, it's just like, sure you will, buddy. She's gonna get eaten.
Yeah. That's it. That's the movie. It's really quite bland.
Yeah, it's a traveling film with two
characters that don't like each other all that much, and then they kiss at the end. I mean, they don't actually kiss, but, like, it's the insinuation that they're going to kiss.
Oh, yeah. They're like, wow, we're a male and a female character who have been on a journey together. This means we're in love.
I think the only really interesting thing to talk about with this movie is the predators and how they all look the same. They all have, like, unblinking, bug-eyed faces.
And
their jaws are open, and they have perfectly spaced canines the entire way.
Have you ever seen, like, those ugly plastic toys of, like, dinosaurs or whatever that always have, like, their mouths open, their eyes wide? Yeah, it looks like that. And then the fox also makes dinosaur screeching noises when he attacks. It's wild.
It's like they see multiple cats and a bird, like a hawk, and the fox. They all have the same general face proportions.
The fox was ugly, but I will say that cat was very unsettling.
Yeah, it looked like a fucking alien.
Yeah, it was nightmarish. Oh, by the way, Nono also has a moment, actually a couple of different moments in this film, where she is also like, no, Glico, you must leave me here to die. I'm only slowing you down. And then, like, Glico will leave, and then I'll come back, like, a minute later and be like, no, I can't leave you. That would be wrong.
No.
No.
You have no nose, so you will die, no.
I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm also thinking this is the first film that's really emphasized the plot of your pet actually would be happier if it was out in the wild, where it belongs. I think this is the first film that's really, like, that is the plot of the film.
Maybe?
I don't know, it's hard to say because it's such a common trope. It's really bad, by the way. Do not release your pets out into the wild.
Release them to an animal care center that is equipped to take care of the animal that you the wild animal that you should not have kept as a pet, but is now indoctrinated into knowing how pets live and will not survive in the wild. Take them to the appropriate nature preserve for that animal.
Right.
Also, why the hell did you pick up a wolf to try to have as a child or something? I don't know. Like, that's the appropriate way to take care of that, right? Don't release... Like, if you were to raise a fox pup from...
Well, I know that when I brought it up before, you're like, I don't know, do you count Fox and the Hound? And I was like, not really, because she's not doing it as a, like, oh, Todd belongs in the wild. She's doing it as, like, she has no other choice.
Yeah, but even still, she has raised this fox as a pet. He does not know how to survive in the wild. No,
for sure. But I'm talking about the message of the movie.
Yeah.
The message of this movie is saying, like, whether subtly or not, being like, no, your pet's actually happier out in the wild. Widow Tweed has no, has, like, no guilty conscience about, like, whether or not Todd would be happier or not with her. Like, she knows he's been raised as a pet. She just doesn't really have any other options.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, in real life.
Yeah, you would want to do something more than just release them out to the wild, because they would just die.
They would just die. They don't belong in that ecosystem anymore. They don't know how to survive on their own. They will die. Don't do it. Please.
I mean, there are cases of animals actually figuring out how to live.
Mm-hmm.
I've known people who have raised baby deer and released them back out into the wild. I've known, like, there are old stories from my family of people doing that, but, like, it's a very rare case.
Mm-hmm. More often than not, the animal is not going to be able to recuperate by themselves correctly.
Yeah.
They should have an in-between step of going to a nature preserve.
Well,
or something.
We're not animal professionals, so what are we even talking about?
I don't know. I'm trying to pad out this review because there's nothing else to talk about.
Yeah. Anyway, this was based on a book of the same name, not Enchanted Journey, but Liko no Boken. It was directed by Hideo Nashimaki and supposedly Studio Kurumi,
yeah.
Made it, but, like, citation was needed on the Wikipedia page for that, so I'm not even sure
if that's
100%
true
about who made this, because there's just, like, nothing about it. And
another important thing to note is you can't find the original Japanese version online.
No.
It just doesn't exist, so we had to watch the dubbed version, which does not list the original studio that made it. Shockingly. Not shockingly at all.
Yeah, it was obviously, like, the opening titles were cut so that they didn't have any of the Japanese credits in them. It just was showing, like, the American voice actors and localizers. It was
obvious screenshots from, like, the opening song credits of the Japanese version, but, like, specific screenshots where no Japanese text was on there. And they just used those stills and put, like, white American English text on top.
Yeah. I guess that's something we should have mentioned right away at the beginning, but we had to watch the dub, not the sub. So who knows how different the original is from this, but
I can't imagine super different.
It seemed fairly, like, cohesive.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's any points where I was like, I wonder what was supposed to happen there. That felt a little off.
And I will say that the acting for the dub was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So this movie was boring and, like, not... doesn't really have much
perfectly
to say.
Safe.
But it's also just, like, kind of fine. You're
gonna forget about this movie probably, like, a couple days after watching it.
The worst offense is definitely how the female characters are treated, but, like, yeah.
Whatever.
You just hate to see it. Anyway, what are we watching next?
Next time, we're watching a sequel to a movie that we didn't like.
That's right.
We're watching Adieu, Galaxy Express 39.
Oh boy.
So hopefully this one's better than the first movie.
We'll find out.
See you then.
We're on our way, no, anchors away.